All right, let's just jump right in because we are about to tackle one of the biggest, most common beliefs out there, that getting older means getting worse. Well, a massive new study from Yale is here to pretty much flip that entire idea on its head.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some wishful thinking. This is the main takeaway from a huge long-term scientific study. And what it suggests is that the whole story we've been telling ourselves about aging, it's not the full picture. Not even close.
So let's start with that old story. You know the one. We all know it. We see it in movies. We hear it in jokes. Heck, we might even say it to ourselves. It's a story that's pretty much all about one thing: decline.
Yeah, for decades, the cultural script has been incredibly simple. After you hit a certain age, the path only goes one way, and that's down. You lose strength, your memory gets fuzzy, you become less independent. For so long, this wasn't seen as just a possibility, it was treated like an absolute law of nature.
But okay, this is where the plot takes a really sharp turn. Researchers over at Yale decided to actually put this assumption to the test. They followed thousands of older Americans for more than 10 years. And what they discovered wasn't just a little surprise. It was a whole new chapter in the book of aging.
So they used all this data from a huge project called the Health and Retirement Study. And they watched real people over a 12-year period. They weren't just taking one little snapshot in time. They were watching the entire movie of how these folks aged. And the results? They were absolutely stunning, even to the scientists running the study.
Get a load of this number: 45%. Nearly half of the people in the study didn't just hold steady or decline a little. They actually showed measurable improvement in really important parts of their health. I mean, that's probably not what you were expecting to hear, right? And here's where it gets even more interesting. This wasn't just some fluke. Look at this. A third of them actually improved their mental sharpness. We're talking memory, how fast they could process things. And over a quarter of them improved their physical performance. So this isn't just about surviving old age. This is about actually thriving. So you gotta ask, right? How did we miss this for so long? Well, for years, science really just looked at the group average. And yeah, on average, if you lump everyone together, you see a slight decline. But that average totally hides the real story. When you dig in and look at the individual reality, you see this huge group of people who are completely bucking the trend and actually getting better. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. What was their secret? What separated the people who were improving from everybody else? Well, the answer wasn't their diet or their exercise routine or even their genetics. It was something much more personal. So what was it? Was it how much money they had? Their education level? What their health was like before the study? The researchers checked for all of that stuff. And the single biggest thing that predicted improvement was something else entirely. Something happening inside their own heads. That's right, it was their mindset. The people who had a positive view of getting older, who saw it as a time for growth and new experiences, not just loss, they were way more likely to be in that group of people whose health actually got better over time.
And look, this isn't just some kind of magical thinking. There is a real biological process at work here. You can think of it like a loop. It all starts with a belief. You believe that you can improve. That belief then pushes you to do healthier things. You stay more active, you see your friends more, and those actions, in turn, create better biology, a stronger body, and a more resilient brain. It's a powerful cycle. Belief shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your body. A positive mindset also helps you build something that scientists call cognitive reserve. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like a buffer for your brain. Every time you learn a new skill or challenge yourself with something complex, you are literally building up your brain's resilience, making it tougher and better able to handle the challenges of aging.
Okay, so this is all really fascinating for each of us individually. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does this matter for society as a whole? Well, the implications here are absolutely enormous. Right now, there are 57 million Americans over the age of 65, and that number is expected to nearly double over the next few decades. This means the story we tell about aging isn't just a personal thing, it's a massive public health issue. And this, right here, is probably the most powerful takeaway of all. If our culture is constantly bombarding us with the message that aging is all about decline, we risk creating a giant self-fulfilling prophecy. We hear the negative story, we internalize it, that changes how we act, and then our biology actually follows suit.
The story itself becomes the problem.
So, how do we get out of that trap and actually do something about it? Well, the good news is, if a negative story can do harm, a positive one can be incredibly powerful. So here's a simple playbook based on the evidence for how you can start writing a better story for yourself.
Here are 5 key things to really focus on. First, take a look at your own beliefs. Just start noticing what you automatically think about getting older. Are those thoughts negative? Second, stay physically active. Seriously, even a daily walk makes a world of difference. Third, keep up your social connections. Being isolated is a huge health risk, so really invest in those relationships. Fourth, prioritize sleep. That's when your brain does all its cleaning and repair work. And finally, number 5, keep challenging your brain. Learn a new language, pick up an instrument, read a tough book, actively build up that cognitive reserve.
In the end, I think the most profound thing this Yale study shows us is that aging isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. It's not one single predetermined story of decline. It is millions and millions of individual stories, and a whole lot of them include amazing chapters of real improvement and growth. So the question it leaves every single one of us with is a really personal one. What's your story going to be?